And at this point, let us consider naman what comes next for the youth after this year's elections. Ayan, unahin na natin si Professor Mariel. Prof, ano po kaya ang gagawin ng mga kabataan ngayon pagkatapos ng halalan 2022?
Yung pinaka-importante ay yung continued engagement ng kabataan. We have to make sure that the youth sector or youth groups become partners in governance. And apart from that, by being partners in governance, we are able to ensure that the promises of these victorious candidates will be made or will be delivered. So that's how we make sure that our candidates or our politicians would be made accountable, basically, or would be able to deliver their promises that they've made during the campaign period.
Follow-up lang po, Professor, no? Since ngayong napapansin naman po natin sa social media na ang mga kabataan natin ngayon ay may iba-ibang opinion regarding sa mga napupulso nilang kandidato. Let's say, for example, paano po kaya nila susuportahan yung naluklok sa posisyon ngayong halalan 2022 just in case na hindi yung preferred candidate nila yung nanalo? Paano po kaya nila mapapakita yung suporta nila?
Okay, so in that case, we really have to work for them and to keep on pressuring them to deliver policies and programs that would uphold the interests not only of the youth sector but also of the other sectors in society, especially the marginalized sectors. So by pressuring them and supporting their good policies and being critical about their actions that are not really beneficial to society in general, that's how we can better help them to become the kind of leaders that we deserve.
So, given the context na nabanggit nga ni Gina, how will we continuously support given nga hindi na, kunwari hindi yung preferred candidate namin yung nanalo, how do you think the youth today, regardless of age, no? Hindi naman kasi natin pwede sabihin na kabataan lamang yung merong sole role na maging critic at maging, kumbaga, no, parang fact checkers, mga accountability checkers, ika nga, no? Sa tingin nyo, ano ba ang mas dapat higit na gawin ng mga kabataan pagkatapos ng eleksyon? Kasi kumbaga, meron tayong tinatawag na seasonal patriotism sa ating mga kabataan. I think this is also one of the things that we have noticed every time that there's an election, maingay tayong mga kabataan. Pero after that, isa na lang tayo sa mga nag-take ng backseat at okay, sige, let things unfold. So sa tingin nyo, ano yung mas proactive na way na dapat gawin ng mga kabataan to bring their presence into the next administration? Simulan muna natin kay Dex.
Sige, siguro one way to start is we have to reframe, no, the perspective na hindi na natin sinusuportahan yung nanalong kandidato sinusuportahan na natin yung bayan natin. And in order to do that, no, regardless kung sinuportahan ko yan or hindi, no, I have to be critical about yung mga policies, yung mga programa na ginagawa nila. Which means I have to be attentive. I have to know, no, how do you say that this is a good policy or not? And I think youth organizations are very much active about it. Kasi we know how critical young people are and how they can transform that critical thinking into creative outputs. Nakikita natin ngayon, if you look at TikTok, battling fake news, diba? You have very educational outputs. Diba?
Edutainment daw
yes,
yun.
sa TikTok, diba? Which is great. And siguro, number 2 is that hindi tayo titigil bilang mga observers lang. Kasi we have the platform, yung sangguniang kabataan natin, after the elections, no, sa 2022, pwede na silang tumakbo at ma-elect. No? So we have to encourage our young people to take these platforms in order for them to be part of governance directly.
Right. Thanks, Dex. Prof, may madadagdag po ba kayo? Ano pa sa tingin nyo yung mga proactive means that we can bring our presence or make our presence louder sa next administration?
Okay, susugan ko lang din yung sinabi ni Sir Dexter. Basically, we have to make sure that at least we join youth organizations because there is strength in numbers and we can mobilize more effectively if we are part of an org. And apart from that, we can also, if we can organize ourselves, the least we can do is to also be active in joining online campaigns that would pressure the administration or government officials to pass certain policies or programs that would be beneficial not only to the youth sector but society in general. So by being active in those ways, we can be partners in governance. And apart from that, another thing that we can do is to actually communicate with our local leaders by sending them emails, writing them letters, and directly communicating with them because that's also one way to make sure that our voices would be heard and that our needs would be heard by these people.
Follow-up lang din naman po, no? Since sabi nyo naman na po, Prof, na on how our voices would be heard. So paano po kaya mapaparating naming mga kabataan o nating kabataan ang ating panig sa mga nahalal na leaders ng bansa?
I think yung gusto kong i-emphasize, for our voices to be heard, first thing we have to do is to actually show up this election day. Kasi ang voting, it is the greatest equalizer. One vote, it's equal whether you're poor or you're rich, you're old or you're young. So if we do mobilize as a sector, as young people, then that's a guarantee that our interests will be much more be well represented this coming elections. And apart from that, we should not only show up on election day, we have to cast a vote that is an informed choice. We have to elect a leader that is capable of delivering a kind of administration and governance that's competent, that's humane, and that is capable of addressing the issues that have been exacerbated due to the pandemic. So apart from that, I would also like to emphasize, of course, our active engagement in social media as well in combating fake news and disinformation, which have greatly proliferated during this campaign period.
Right. Thanks, Prof. Dex, may madadagdag ka ba sa sinabi ni Prof. Mariel?
I think really, in order to engage those we will be electing, we have to present ourselves as partners as well as accountability checkers, no, as mentioned kanina. And actually, this is something that we've seen, no, in the past few months during the pandemic. Hundreds of youth organizations have started lobbying local ordinances all across the country. And I think that's a good momentum that we have to promote and continue encouraging, because young people, even though they're in high school, they're undergrads, they now know that they can actually be part of policy making. They can actually be part of how programs are being implemented. And by seeing themselves not just as outsiders, that they are part of governance in itself, they can make change happen through their advocacies, through their progressive voices.
Thanks, Dex. So, syempre, first of all, thank you so much sa ating mga naging guests ngayon. At bago tayo matapos, kanina we answered the what and the how. Now, I'd like to bring the question further. Why? So, sa inyong short message siguro kay Prof. Mariel and of course kay Dex who was with us today, how or rather why should we sustain this hype, Kasi people think that election season is just a hype. It's just a season, kumbaga.
Yeah.
Sa mga kabataan yan, even sa across different generations, election lang naman yan, matatapos din yan. Why should we maintain the hype? Why should we continuously keep making our voices heard, lalo na tayo mga kabataan? Can you share with us? Siguro simulan natin kay Dex.
Okay, so why do we need to actively be involved, not just in elections, but also in governance? Because at the end of the day, tayong mga kabataan, tayo yung magpapagalaw sa bayan natin. Kung saan patungo yung bayan natin, it's a product only of the effort that we give in as concerned citizens, as young citizens of our country. So ito yung lagi naming sinasabi, na yung kapangyarihan natin nandyan yan palagi. Kailangan lang natin gamitin, kailangan lang natin simulan yung pagbabago na hinahanap natin. So lagi namin sinasabi, kailangan kabataan, simulan natin ang mabuting pamamahala para sa bayan.
Thanks so much, Dex. Prof. Mariel?
Ang susugan ko lang na importante na ipagpatuloy natin ang pagiging aktibo natin bilang mga mamamayan ng Pilipinas dahil bilang kabataan, may kakayahan tayo para hubugin ang hinaharap ng ating lipunan at ng ating bansa. Maliban pa dyan, bata man tayo ay mayroon tayong aspirations, idealism at energy para bumuo ng isang bansa that we very much deserve.
Na talagang very empowering para sa ating mga kabataan, lalo na this coming election, to have someone who actually knows on what it takes to really have good governance, and at the same time, a professor that really knows what students or rather the youth should really look forward to this coming elections and even after the elections. Gina, sa tingin mo, tayo, kanina tayo yung nagtatanong, tingin mo ba, enough ba yung ingay na ginagawa nating mga kabataan ngayon to really push for that change that we are looking for this coming elections?
Actually, for me, this is ito yung pinakamaingay na naabutan ko compared to the last elections.
Tama.
And it's a good thing na sobrang participative ng youth natin ngayon. And also, Schoolmates as a better platform for the youth to really voice out their opinions. And sana magkaroon tayo ng episodes na every candidate, no, youth for every candidate, or
Tama.
youth groups for every candidate, or at least representative, para makita natin kung ano talaga yung views ng bawat kabataan for each candidate.
Tama, and what really motivates them, no, to really be
Exactly.
to really be preferring for that leader, and why should we be voting for that
Yeah.
leader, no? At siguro, let's take advantage that we the youth are currently in the middle of major historical events, no, such as the COVID-19, the different political issues, tensions that are happening around the globe. We should be more proactive, and tignan natin to bilang catalyst that we should be more critical in choosing the next leader. And it's not only up to us, it's up to the next generation and even the generations before to make things right, no? Para sa mga kabataang Pilipino na mabubuhay pa in the next generations or in the
Yes.
next few years kung saan magiging aftermath na ito ng ating eleksyon na magaganap ngayong taon. So dapat, no, mas maging not only proactive, but at the same time, parang let's take a stand in a sense na we are not only speaking for our concerns, but for the concerns of
Concerns of the
those na
future.
of those na hindi nakakapagsalita.
Yes.
Hindi naririnig ang kani-kanilang mga boses, the marginalized sectors, yung mga kabataang IPs natin. No? So mas bigyan natin ng halaga yung boses na meron tayo ngayon at gamitin natin ito sa tama, not to divide people, but to make people realize that we are there for a common good.
Ayan, maraming salamat po sa pagpapaunlak sa aming imbitasyon at sa pagbabahagi po ng inyong kaalaman at opinyon tungkol sa mga naging topic natin ngayong gabi. Si Dexter Yang ng Good Gov PH at si Assistant Professor Mariel Marcaida ng UP Diliman Department of Political Science. Thank you so much po.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much,
Dex, and
Dex and
Prof.
Prof.
Mariel. Thank you so
Maraming
much.
salamat po.